Greetings and welcome to our daily Devo for Saturday, the 26th of August today. It's a big day down at the church with cookout and craft fair and handing out free bottles of water to people headed to the yard sales on Ackley Ave. And the building is open. Restrooms are made available to shoppers as they go by in case they can't make the whole street without a stop. And so it will be a big day for us at the church. Hope you'll be praying for us. Some of you I expect to see there. So we'll do what we can to serve our neighbors. Today's devotion is entitled "Jesus Heals the Son of a Royal Official." And that's in John chapter 4, the Gospel of John chapter 4, verses 43 through 54. And it quotes verse 53, "So he and his whole household believed." So he and his whole household believed. Well, who's he? Well, let's read and find out. We can feel his desperation. A breathless royal official had dashed from Capernaum to Cana to beg Jesus for his help. His child back in Capernaum was near death. Of all the things on his mind at this moment, geography was not one of them. But John uses the healing of the official's son to prepare us for the consequential move Jesus made to Capernaum, where he established his base of operations. Let's start with this question. Where might we expect Jesus to establish the base for his ministry? Judea makes sense. It hosted many of the foundation stories of the Old Testament, stories about Abraham and Sarah and Jacob and David. What is more, Jerusalem was Israel's religious center. Although Jesus spent the final climactic moments of his life there, it was not his base for ministry. Instead, his stories fill the mountains and lake basin of Galilee, where the Galileans welcomed him. And that's John 4, verse 45 of our reading. But where? Where in Galilee? Nazareth makes sense, the place he called home for the first decades of his life. But Nazareth was isolated and struggled to accept him. Matthew 13:57. How about Cana? This is where Jesus did his first miracle. And unlike Nazareth, it was located along a road system that connected the coast with the Sea of Galilee. In the end, neither Nazareth nor Cana would do. Jesus established his base of operations in Capernaum, a place that became known as his home. And that brings us back to this miracle. The royal official coming to Jesus was a man of power and a man of influence, but he was powerless to help his dying child. He had come to Jesus believing he could help. Jesus sent him back with these words, "Go, your son will live." And that's verse 50 of our passage this morning. As the man traveled home, he received word that his son began to improve at the very hour Jesus had spoken those reassuring words. What we hear next is even more significant. The verse quoted here this morning as we started, "So he and his whole household believed." Although we don't know their names, this influential household became the nucleus Jesus could count on when he established his base of ministry in Capernaum. Base of ministry he could count on. The nucleus Jesus could count on. The nucleus Jesus could count on. Nucleus sounds like a small word. And in actuality, when you talk about it, and what is connected to it often is small. But it's also the heart. It's where things happen. It's where the group is bound together to serve, to minister, to proclaim. It's that way in the church. The nucleus, those that the pastor can depend on, those who stick around, those who commit themselves to Christ first and then to his ministry, and a group of people that he or she finds that they want to commit to them too and do what the Lord asks of them to do. It means sacrifice. We've talked about that in our Sunday sermons at JCPM for a couple of weeks. It means sacrifice and service, but that's what makes the strongest nucleus possible for a local fellowship of believers. A group of people who are committed, who will sacrifice, who will serve, who will do all that is within their power to fulfill the vision for that local fellowship, the ministry that they may have in their community. And through them, hopefully that nucleus grows. More want to come and join that instead of just walking away because they don't want to do the hard work, because they don't want to be committed to that and have to say no to other things that they hold dear. But that's what Jesus did. That's what his disciples did. That's what everybody that we see in the New Testament, the early church following Jesus, that's what they did. The disciples became the nucleus. Ends up being 11 guys, because we know what Judas chose. He chose to turn his back on Jesus. That 11 became the nucleus for others who followed, who aren't listed as the apostles, but they're disciples. The women that were there as part of that, who followed, who supported Jesus' ministry. The ones who invited him into their home, like Mary and Martha and Lazarus. They helped Jesus' ministry do what it did. And I will guarantee you right now, every single pastor who's ever pastored from years past to today, they are in desperate need of a nucleus, of those who will stay the course and do what needs to be done to make Jesus welcome, to make Jesus known. Blessings to you today.